Okay, hi guys. This is Mrs. Myers, and these are your video notes for the last time. It's one more concept we need to learn before the final exam, and I'm going to give you a quick quiz on it tomorrow. So make sure you understand how to do these things and ask me any questions right when you get to class. This is for writing the equation of a circle, which we learned in standard form. When they give you the equation that's not in standard form. So this is a technique for turning this equation into standard form equation. Because from the equation that they give us here, we can't tell what the center or the radius is. That's not in the right form. So we have to transform this into standard form so that we could know the center and the radius. Okay, if you haven't already, this page is posted right next to this video on the web page. So you can print out this worksheet. It's only 2 pages, so you should be able to print that out. And if not, then just make sure you're copying down these exact problems onto a piece of paper, because I will check for those tomorrow as well. Okay, so the best way to learn how to do this is to just practice a few problems together. What we are wanting to end up with here, standard form, is going to look like this. X and then something squared plus y and then something squared equals, then we're going to have an r squared. So what we want to do is look at all the x terms here, and we're going to rewrite them, x squared plus 8x, and then leave a blank. Because if we look at, let's come over here for just a quick example. If I have like x minus 3 and I square it, that really means x minus 3 times x minus 3. And that's x squared minus 3x minus another 3x plus 9. So this is x squared minus 6x plus 9. This is a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms, trinomial, that can be factored into this form, right? X minus 3, the quantity squared, equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. So if we then went to factor it, we would be putting it back into this x minus 3, the quantity squared form. So if we want to get this to be in that form, x something something squared, we need a trinomial that is like this one, that can be factored into this x minus something squared form. Okay, so we're trying to get this to be a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms that factors into a form like this. So right now we only have 2x terms, and we want to figure out what number would be put here so that it factors nicely into the something squared form. And here's the trick. Okay, there's definitely a form, like a formula to follow here. What you want to do is take this middle term and cut it in half. Half of 8 is positive 4, and you're going to put that in here. But if you look at this now, you have x plus 4 squared. If you were actually going to square this, it would be x squared plus 8x plus, last times last, would be 16. So the trinomial that we would need is x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, so just to recap, we took half of the middle term, and we wrote it here, and then we square that and write it there. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16, so it's a plus 16. Okay, now let's do the y's. Y squared minus 2y, leave a blank. On the other side of this equation, we have equals 64. We're not going to touch that yet. Let's do the y's. Again, we want a trinomial that can be factored into this form. So we're going to take half of the middle term. Half of -2 is -1. So I'm going to put -1 in here. And then we're going to square that, right? Square it. -1 squared is a +1. So now, x squared plus 8x plus 16 can be factored as x plus 4, the quantity squared. And y squared minus 2y plus 1 can be factored into y minus 1, the quantity squared. So we can rewrite this left side of the equation as this standard form of a circle. But there's one catch. We have an equal sign here. If this is an equal sign, that means the left side has to equal the right side. Well, we just messed that up because we just added 16 and 1. Well, you can't just add 16 and 1 to the left side of the equation and nothing to the right side. So you have to do the exact same thing on the right side that you did on the left side. So we're going to add a 16 and a 1 on the right-hand side. Well, 64 plus 16 is 80 plus 1 is 81. So the standard form of this circle is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 81. So what's the center? Going to be, remember, opposite sign, -4, 1. And radius is going to be, r squared is 81, so r is going to be 9. Okay, we're going to do one more together, and then you're going to do the other two on your own. Okay, so again, the first thing you want to do, we'll go a little bit faster this time, is take all the x's, x squared plus 2x, and then leave a blank. And then take all the y's, y squared minus 24y, and then leave a blank, equals, and then you want all the numbers on the right-hand side. So for this one, we actually have to subtract 120 from both sides because we want to get the plain old numbers to the right-hand side. So we have -120 on the right. Now, set up your standard form of your equation. You're going to have an x and a y. Now, half of the middle term is +1. Square that, and you add 1. Over here, half of the middle term is a -12. Square that. 12 squared is +144. Remember, these are always going to be positive, these things that we're adding, because when you square something, even if it's negative like this one, when you square it, it comes out positive. And then don't forget to do the same thing on the other side. We added 1 and we added 144. So on the right-hand side, we end up with 145 because 144 plus 1, oops, sorry, not 145. 144 plus 1 is 145, and then we're going to subtract 120 from that, and we're going to be left with just 25. So here's the standard form of our equation for our circle. The center is at the point -1, +12. Oops, I don't have to write the plus sign. -1, +12, and the radius is the square root of 25, or 5. Okay, you try the next two yourself, and then turn the video back on and check your answers. Actually, we'll check our answers in class tomorrow. So try those two, and then we'll check our answers tomorrow. Okay, that's it. Completing the square. Half of the middle term, put it in the parentheses, square it, and add. Do the same thing for the x's and the y's. Then don't forget to add it to both sides. If you look at the next page that you printed, These are the steps actually spelled out for you. So if you get stuck or you weren't sure or you need to remind yourself what to do, look at these steps. This is the steps for completing the square. This just means, like we said, half of the middle term. 6 middle term, take half. Then that's 3, so then square it, and that's 9. So don't get freaked out about this fraction stuff. It's just half of the middle term, and then square it. Okay, thanks.